The stars looked different this far from Earth. Captain Han Sol Kim stood on the bridge of the Taeguk's Dream, watching the view screen show endless points of light that no human had ever seen before. His ship was small compared to the massive warships that protected Earth's colonies. It was built for exploration, not fighting. The crew of 12 had been traveling for 8 months, mapping new star systems and looking for planets that might support human life. Han Sol was proud of his crew. They were scientists and explorers, not soldiers. Navigator Bo-Ra Lee sat at her station, her fingers dancing across the control panel as she calculated their next jump. She was the best navigator in the Earth fleet, able to plot courses through space that others couldn't even imagine. Chief Engineer Taemin Park worked in the engine room below, keeping their faster-than-light drive running smoothly. Without him, they would be stuck drifting between the stars forever. Communications Officer Hyejin Choi monitored the radio channels, listening for any signs of alien life. So far, they had found plenty of empty worlds, but no other intelligent species. The galaxy seemed strangely quiet for something so vast. Some days, Han Sol wondered if humans were truly alone among the stars. "Captain," Bo-Ra called from her station, "I'm detecting something unusual in the next system. The gravitational readings don't match what we expected." Han Sol walked over to look at her display. The system had 3 planets orbiting a yellow star, much like Earth's sun. But there was something else there, something that didn't belong on any star chart. "What is it?" he asked. "I'm not sure. It's big, maybe the size of a small asteroid, but it's in a perfect orbit around the second planet. Natural objects don't move like that." Han Sol felt his heart beat faster. After months of finding empty worlds, they might have finally discovered something important. "Set course for the second planet, but keep us at a safe distance." The Taeguk's Dream dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. Immediately, their sensors began picking up detailed readings of the mysterious object. It wasn't an asteroid at all. "Captain," Hyejin said, her voice filled with excitement. "It's artificial. Definitely a ship of some kind, but the design is unlike anything in our databases." On the main screen, the object slowly came into view. It was enormous, easily 10 times the size of their own ship. The hull was dark and covered with strange patterns that seemed to shift in the starlight. Parts of it were clearly damaged, with sections torn open and exposed to space. "How old do you think it is?" Han Sol asked. Taemin's voice came through the communications system from the engine room. "Captain, I'm reading some very strange energy signatures from that ship. The metal it's made from contains elements I've never seen before. This thing could be thousands of years old, maybe more." Han Sol stared at the derelict vessel. If it was truly ancient, it might contain technology far beyond what humans had achieved. Such a discovery could advance human civilization by centuries, but it could also be dangerous. "Bo-Ra, scan the surrounding area. Make sure we're alone out here." The navigator's fingers moved quickly across her controls. After several minutes, she looked up. "No other ships detected, Captain. We're the only ones in this system." "Good. Taemin, prepare a small team for boarding. I want to know what's inside that ship." They spent the next 6 hours carefully approaching the derelict. Their scanners showed no signs of life aboard the alien vessel, but they detected powerful computer systems that were somehow still functioning after all this time. The ship's power source was unlike anything human science understood. When they finally docked with the alien ship, Han Sol led a team of 4 inside. The corridors were vast and empty, designed for beings much larger than humans. Strange symbols covered the walls, glowing softly with their own light. The air was breathable, somehow maintained by systems that had been running for millennia. In what appeared to be the ship's main computer core, they found data storage devices containing vast amounts of information. The technology was so advanced that their own computers could barely begin to translate the alien language. "Captain," Hyejin said through her helmet radio, "I'm picking up some automated messages from this ship. They're very old, but I think I can decode them." "What do they say?" "It's hard to translate, but it seems to be some kind of warning or memorial. The ship belongs to a race called the... I can't pronounce it properly. But they were apparently the first intelligent species in this part of the galaxy. These might be the ruins of the civilization that came before all the others." Han Sol felt a chill run down his spine. They had discovered something incredible, possibly the most important archaeological find in human history. This ship contained the secrets of a race that had mastered space travel when Earth was still covered in primitive life. They spent 2 days aboard the derelict, carefully copying as much data as they could. The alien technology was so advanced that even understanding the basics would take human scientists years of study. But what they had found could revolutionize everything from faster-than-light travel to energy production. On the 3rd day, their peaceful exploration came to an abrupt end. "Captain," Ye Jin called urgently from the communication station. "I'm detecting multiple ships approaching our position. They're moving fast and broadcasting on military frequencies." Han Sol rushed to the bridge. On the view screen, he could see 6 sleek vessels approaching from the outer system. They were clearly warships, bristling with weapons and moving in perfect military formation. "Are they human?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. "Negative, Captain. The ships are of unknown design and they're hailing us on an alien frequency. Put them through." The view screen flickered and suddenly they were looking at the face of an alien being. It had gray skin, 6 arms, and eyes that glowed with cold intelligence. When it spoke, its voice was translated by their computers into harsh, demanding words. "Unknown vessel, you have trespassed on sacred ground. The burial ship of the first ones is forbidden to all who live. You will surrender immediately and prepare to face judgment for your crimes." Han Sol stepped forward, trying to remain calm. "This is Captain Han Sol Kim of the Earth vessel Taeguk's Dream. We are conducting peaceful scientific research in unclaimed space. We mean no harm and had no knowledge of any sacred sites." The alien's expression grew even colder. "Your ignorance is no excuse. I am War Commander Dex Thalen of the Vielthir Confederacy. This system has been under our protection for 3,000 years. The penalty for disturbing the first ones is death. We're willing to leave immediately and share our findings with your government. There's no need for conflict." "There is no negotiation. You have seen what should not be seen. Your ship and crew are forfeit. You have 1 hour to make peace with whatever gods you worship." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Han Sol looked around at his crew, seeing fear and determination in equal measure on their faces. Outside, the 6 alien warships had spread out in an attack formation, completely surrounding the Taeguk's Dream. Their weapons were powered and ready. The ancient derelict ship drifted silently nearby, a monument to a dead civilization that had somehow become the cause of a very deadly conflict. "What are your orders, Captain?" Bora asked quietly. Han Sol looked at the alien ships on the screen, then at the faces of his crew. These people had trusted him to bring them home safely. Now they were trapped in a situation that seemed impossible. "To survive. Send a message to Earth Fleet Command," he said finally. "Tell them what we've found here. And tell them what's about to happen to us." War Commander Dex Thalen paced the bridge of his flagship, his 6 arms moving in agitation. The humans had ignored his ultimatum and were still docked with the sacred burial ship. Their defiance was unthinkable. In 3,000 years, no species had dared to challenge Valthir authority in this sector of space. "Communications," he barked to his officer. "Send a priority message to High Command. Tell them we have encountered a new species called humans. They have violated the sacred burial grounds and refused to surrender. Request immediate reinforcements." The officer hesitated. "War Commander, 6 ships should be enough to handle one." "Small vessel." Dex Thalen's eyes blazed with anger. "You question my judgment? These humans possess technology that rivals our own. They have been studying the first one's ship for 3 days. Who knows what secrets they have stolen?" The truth was, Dex Thalen was worried. His ships had been scanning the human vessel continuously, and what they found disturbed him. The human sensors were more advanced than anything the Valthir had seen from a species so new to space travel. Their computer systems were processing the ancient data at speeds that should have been impossible. Meanwhile, aboard the Taeguk's Dream, Captain Han Sol was making difficult decisions. The alien ships maintained their positions around them. Weapons, ready but not yet firing. It seemed the Valthir commander was waiting for something. "How long until Earth Fleet receives our message?" Han Sol asked He Jin. The communications officer checked her calculations. "At least 4 months, Captain. We're too far from any human outpost for a faster relay." "And how long for them to send help?" "If they send a fleet immediately, another 4 months minimum." Han Sol nodded grimly. 8 months was far too long. Whatever was going to happen here would be over long before any help could arrive. Taemin's voice crackled through the intercom from the engine room. "Captain, I've been studying the data we copied from the alien ship. Some of their technology could be adapted to our systems. With a few modifications, I might be able to boost our shield strength by 30%. "Do it," Han Sol ordered. "Bo-Ra, I need you to study everything we know about this star system. If we have to run, I want to know every asteroid, every gas cloud, every place we might hide." "Already on it, Captain. There's a dense asteroid field on the far side of the system. If we can reach it, we might be able to lose them among the rocks." Han Sol felt a spark of hope. They were outgunned and outnumbered, but they weren't helpless. His crew was smart and resourceful. If anyone could find a way out of this situation, it was them. 3 hours later, Dex Thallon received the response he had been waiting for. High Command was sending additional ships. Not just a few patrol vessels, but an entire battle group. 30 ships in total, including heavy cruisers and destroyers. "Excellent," Dex Thallon muttered. "These humans will serve as an example to the entire galaxy." But as the hours passed, more reports came in from Valthier space. Word of the human discovery had spread through their communication networks. Other species that belonged to the Valthier Confederacy were asking questions. Some demanded to know what the humans had found. Others wanted to send their own ships to investigate. The Valthier High Council was growing concerned. The humans' presence at the sacred site was becoming a political problem. If other species learned about the advanced technology hidden in the first one's ship, it could upset the balance of power that had kept the Valthier in control for centuries. "Send more ships," ordered Supreme War Leader Koth Valan, the highest military commander in the Confederacy. "I want 200 vessels at that location. This human infestation must be crushed completely, and we must ensure that no trace of their discovery survives." The order was unprecedented. 200 ships was enough firepower to conquer entire solar systems. It was the largest military force the Confederacy had assembled in over 50 years, all to destroy a single human research vessel. Back at the ancient burial site, the crew of the Taeguk's Dream watched as more alien ships continued to arrive. First came the battle group of 30 vessels that Dex Thallon had requested. Then came more and more, until the space around them was filled with hostile ships. "Captain," Hyejin said, her voice tight with worry, "I count 120 ships now, with more arriving every hour. Some of them are massive. The largest one is bigger than anything in Earth's fleet." Han Sol stared at the tactical display. The alien armada was arranging itself in perfect formation, creating an impenetrable wall of firepower around their position. It was clear that the Valthier had decided this was about more than just punishing trespassers. "They're afraid," he realized suddenly. "Captain?" Bo-Ra looked at him with confusion. "Think about it. Why would they need 200 ships to destroy us? We're just one small research vessel. They're not trying to destroy us because we violated their sacred site. They're trying to destroy us because of what we found." Taemin's voice came through the intercom again. "Captain, I've finished the modifications to our shields. I also managed to upgrade our weapons systems using some of the principles from the alien technology. We're still vastly outgunned, but we can hit harder than before." "Good work. How are our communications?" "I've set up a continuous transmission to Earth," Hyejin reported. "We're sending everything we learned about the alien ship and everything we're seeing here. Even if we don't make it home, humanity will know what happened." Han Sol felt a surge of pride in his crew. They were scared. He could see it in their faces. But they were still doing their jobs. They were still thinking, still fighting, still hoping. On the bridge of his flagship, Dex Thallon received the final ships of the massive fleet. 200 vessels now surrounded the tiny human ship. The firepower assembled here could crack planets. Surely the humans would surrender now. He opened a communication channel to the Taeguk's Dream. "Human Captain, you see the forces arrayed against you. This is your final chance to surrender. Accept death with honor, and we will make it quick." Han Sol's image appeared on Dex Thallon's screen. The human looked tired but unbroken. When he spoke, his words were calm and clear. "War Commander, we are scientists and explorers. We came here in peace, seeking knowledge. We found the remains of an ancient civilization and tried to learn from them. If that deserves death in your culture, then we accept our fate. But know this, Humanity will remember what happened here, and we will return. Dexthalan felt a chill at the human's words. There was no fear in the captain's voice, only a quiet determination that reminded him uncomfortably of his own people's warrior traditions. You are only 12 individuals on one small ship, he said. Your species will never even know what became of you. Hansol smiled grimly. You're wrong about that. We've been transmitting continuously since you arrived. Every ship that joins your fleet, every word you've spoken, every detail of this encounter is being sent to Earth. Humanity is young, but we learn quickly, and we have very long memories. The transmission ended, leaving Dexthalan staring at a blank screen. Around him, his officers waited for orders. 200 ships waited for the command to fire. The largest military force in recent galactic history hung motionless in space, all focused on destroying 12 humans who refused to beg for their lives. For the first time in his long military career, Dexthalan wondered if they were making a terrible mistake. The final ships of the Sacred Cleansing Fleet moved into position around the Teguk's Dream. 200 vessels now formed a perfect sphere of death around the tiny human ship. The massive dreadnought Eternal Dominion hung directly ahead, its weapons capable of destroying entire cities with a single shot. Fleet Admiral Dexthalan stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the tactical display. Never in Velthier history had so much firepower been assembled to destroy such a small target. The other commanders in his fleet were questioning his judgment, wondering why they needed such overwhelming force against 12 humans. All ships, this is Fleet Admiral Dexthalan, he broadcast across the fleet. Today we send a message to the galaxy. No one violates our sacred spaces. No one steals the secrets of the first ones. These humans will serve as an example to all species who think they can challenge Velthier authority. On the Teguk's Dream, Captain Hansol gathered his crew on the small bridge. 12 people who had left Earth as scientists and explorers now faced the largest military force in known history. The weight of the moment pressed down on all of them. I won't lie to you, Hansol said quietly. We're not going to survive this, but we can make sure our deaths mean something. Everything we learned about the ancient ship is being transmitted to Earth. Our sacrifice will advance human knowledge by centuries. Taman looked up from his engineering station. Captain, I've finished all the modifications I can make. Our shields are stronger, our weapons hit harder, and I've rigged every system on this ship to give us maximum performance. We'll burn out in hours, but we'll burn bright. Bora studied her navigation display. I've found a few tricks we can use. The ancient ship's hull contains metals that interfere with their sensors. If we stay close to it, we might confuse their targeting systems. Also, there's a solar flare building on the star. If we time it right, the radiation might blind their instruments for a few minutes. Haye Jin nodded from her communications station. I'm monitoring their fleet communications. They're using standard military formations, but they've never fought humans before. They don't know how we think or how we fight. Hansol felt a fierce pride in his crew. Even facing certain death, they were still thinking, still planning, still fighting. This was what it meant to be human. All stations ready, he announced. Remember, we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for every human who will ever explore the stars. Make them remember us. Fleet Admiral Dexthalan's voice echoed across the communication channels. Human vessel, you have 10 seconds to surrender. After that, you will be destroyed. Hansol activated the ship's external communication system. His voice broadcast on all frequencies, reaching not just the Velthier fleet, but any ship or listening post within light years of their position. This is Captain Hansol Kim of the Earth vessel Teguk's Dream. We are 12 humans facing 200 alien warships because we dared to study the ruins of an ancient civilization. We will not surrender. We will not beg. Tell the galaxy that humanity was here. Tell them we did not kneel. The 10 seconds passed in silence. Then Dexthalan gave the order that would echo through galactic history. All ships, open fire. 200 alien warships unleashed their weapons at once. The space around the Teguk's Dream filled with energy beams, plasma bolts, and guided missiles. It should have been instant annihilation. Instead, something impossible happened. The human ship's shields blazed with brilliant light, absorbing and deflecting the massive barrage. Taman's modifications had worked better than anyone expected. The ancient technology he had studied gave their defensive systems capabilities the Velthier couldn't understand. Impossible, Dexthalan whispered, staring at his tactical display. How are they still alive? The Teguk's dream didn't just survive the first attack. It fought back. Bora had positioned their ship perfectly. Using the ancient derelict as cover, she guided them through the asteroid field with moves that defied physics. The human ship danced between the alien vessels like a fighter dancing around slow giants. Their weapons, enhanced with principles from the first one's technology, struck with precision and power. Each shot was perfectly aimed, targeting weak points in the alien ship's armor that the humans had identified during their days of observation. The first Valthier ship to die was a destroyer that came too close. Taemin had rigged their mining, lasers to focus into a single devastating beam. It cut through the alien ship's hull like a knife through paper, causing a reactor breach that lit up the darkness of space. One down, Hansol announced calmly. 199 to go. The Valthier fleet quickly realized they were not fighting helpless prey. The small human ship moved with impossible grace, using the gravitational fields of planets and asteroids to slingshot around their formations. When cornered, it would dart behind the ancient derelict, using the sacred ship as a shield that the aliens refused to fire upon. Bora's navigation skills turned the entire star system into a weapon. She led pursuing ships through the outer planets, ring system, where chunks of ice and rock moving at high speed smashed into alien hulls. She used the solar wind from the star to mask their movements, appearing and disappearing like a ghost. The humans fought dirty, using every advantage they could find. When their weapons overheated, they fired their emergency flares directly into alien sensor arrays, blinding entire ships. They used their scientific equipment as weapons, turning their geological survey probes into guided missiles. For 2 hours, the battle raged across the star system. The massive Valthier fleet found itself confused and frustrated by an enemy that refused to fight by conventional rules. Every time they thought they had the humans cornered, the Teguk's dream would find a new way to escape and strike back. 12 more alien ships died, their crews learning too late that underestimating humanity was a fatal mistake. The humans turned their own mining charges into torpedoes, rigged their backup reactor to explode like a bomb when ejected, and used their escape pods as decoys to draw enemy fire. But the odds were still impossible. The Teguk's dream was taking damage faster than Taemin could repair it. Their shields were failing, their weapons were overheating, and their life support systems were beginning to break down. "Captain," Hyejin called out over the sound of alarms. "Hull breach on deck 3. We're losing atmosphere." "Engineering to bridge." Taemin's voice was strained. "I can give you maybe 1 more hour at maximum power. After that, everything starts shutting down." Han Sol looked around his bridge. His crew was wounded and exhausted, but still fighting. Sparks flew from damaged control panels. The lights flickered as power systems struggled to keep up with demand. 1 more hour, he said quietly. "Then we make it count." The solar flare Bora had predicted finally erupted from the star. For exactly 7 minutes, the radiation storm blinded every sensor in the system. In those 7 minutes, the Teguk's dream struck like lightning, destroying 5 more alien ships before disappearing back into the cosmic storm. When the flare subsided, Fleet Admiral Dex Thalan stared at his tactical display in growing horror. 18 of his ships were gone, destroyed by a single human vessel with a crew of 12. His perfect formation was in chaos. His commanders were shouting conflicting orders, and somehow the humans were still alive. "How?" he whispered. "How is this possible?" The answer came from his intelligence officer, who had been analyzing the human ship's movements. "Sir, they're not fighting like any known species. Their tactics combine elements from dozens of different military traditions. It's like they've studied every form of warfare that ever existed." Dex Thalan realized with growing dread that they had made a terrible mistake. These humans weren't just lucky survivors. They were natural warriors, creatures born from a world where only the strongest and smartest survived. And now they had cornered such a creature, wounded it, and made it desperate. In the distance, the Teguk's dream limped through space, trailing atmosphere and sparks. But it was still moving, still fighting, still refusing to die. The galaxy was about to learn why that was a very dangerous thing. The Teguk's dream finally died 6 hours after the battle began. Its shields failed completely, Its weapons went silent, and its hull cracked open like an eggshell under the combined firepower of the Valthyr fleet. Captain Hansol's last transmission was cut short as the ship's reactor went critical and exploded in a brilliant flash of light. Fleet Admiral Dex Thalan watched the explosion from his flagship, feeling no satisfaction in victory. 23 of his ships were destroyed. 40 more were badly damaged. Hundreds of his best warriors were dead, all because of 12 humans in a research vessel. "Sir," his communications officer reported nervously, "the other fleet commanders are requesting explanations. They want to know how a single enemy ship caused such damage." Dex Thalan stared at the debris field where the human ship had been. "Tell them the humans fought with honor. That is all they need to know." But the truth was spreading through the Valthyr fleet faster than any official report. The recordings of the battle showed something that disturbed every alien commander who watched them. The humans had turned their entire ship into a weapon. They used every system, every piece of equipment, every bit of knowledge they possessed to fight back. Most shocking of all was the final transmission from Captain Hansol. Even as his ship was dying around him, the human captain continued sending data to Earth. Technical specifications, battle tactics, detailed scans of every Valthyr ship in the fleet. He used his final moments to give his people the information they would need to fight back. The recordings of the battle were supposed to be classified, but within days they had spread across the galaxy. Every species in the Valthyr Confederacy wanted to see how 12 humans had held off 200 warships for 6 hours. What they saw changed everything. The footage showed tactical brilliance that impressed even the most experienced military commanders. The humans had used their ship's scientific equipment as weapons, turned mining tools into missiles, and employed gravitational forces as tactical advantages. They fought with a creativity and adaptability that no other species had ever displayed. But more than their tactics, it was their attitude that shook the galaxy. The humans never begged, never tried to negotiate, never showed fear. They faced certain death with calm determination, as if dying in battle was simply another part of their job. On Earth, the loss of the Taeguk's dream created a firestorm of anger and grief. The crew had been heroes, explorers pushing the boundaries of human knowledge. Their murder by an alien empire that claimed to rule the stars was an insult that humanity would not tolerate. Admiral Sujin Kang stood before the Earth Defense Council, her uniform decorated with ribbons from a dozen campaigns. She had fought pirates in the outer colonies, defended mining stations from raiders, and commanded fleets in 3 different wars. But she had never felt anger like this. The Valthyr Confederacy has made a declaration of war against humanity, she announced to the assembled politicians and military leaders. They destroyed a peaceful research vessel and murdered 12 of our people. They did this to send a message to the galaxy that humans are weak and can be killed without consequence. The Earth President, an elderly man named Dong Wook Park, leaned forward in his chair. "What do you recommend, Admiral?" "We send them a message in return," Sujin replied. "We show them what happens when you murder humans." Dr. Min Ho Yoon, head of the Terran Research Collective, stepped forward with a data pad in his hands. "Admiral, we've analyzed every bit of information that Captain Kim transmitted before his death. The modifications his engineer made to their systems, the tactical data they gathered, the technical specifications of alien ships. We can use this information to build weapons and defenses that will give us a significant advantage." Sujin nodded. "How long do you need?" 6 months to design and build the first new ships. Another 3 months to train crews and establish supply lines. But Admiral, we're talking about fighting an empire that controls hundreds of star systems. Even with better technology, we'll be vastly outnumbered." "Numbers don't matter," Sujin said quietly. "The Valthyr made the mistake of showing us how they fight. More importantly, they made the mistake of making us angry." Across human space, the call went out for volunteers. The story of the Taeguk's dream had spread to every human colony, every space station, every ship. People who had never thought about military service suddenly wanted to join the fleet. Engineers left their jobs to help build warships. Scientists abandoned their research to develop new weapons. But the most significant response came from an unexpected source. Veterans of the corporate wars, the colony rebellions, and the pirate conflicts emerged from retirement. These were men and women who had learned to fight in the asteroid mines and ice fields of the outer system, where a single mistake meant death and only the clever survived. Captain Jae-sung Lee had been a corporate security chief before he retired to a farming colony. When he heard about the Taeguk's dream, he traveled to Earth and walked into Admiral Kang's office. "I want to volunteer," he said simply. Soo-jin looked at his file. "You're 62 years old, Captain. This war will be fought by young people." "Admiral, I've been fighting in space for 40 years. I've commanded ships in zero gravity, in radiation storms, in asteroid fields where one wrong move kills everyone aboard. I know how to make hard decisions, and I know how to win ugly fights." Soo-jin studied the gray-haired man standing before her. "What makes you think you can beat the Vilethir?" Jae-sung smiled grimly. "Because they think war is about big fleets and fancy tactics. They think overwhelming force always wins, but humans learn to fight in places where big doesn't matter. We learn to win when we're outnumbered, outgunned, and out of options." Within 3 months, Earth's industrial capacity had been converted to war production. Shipyards that once built cargo vessels now produced warships. Factories that made mining equipment now manufactured weapons. The entire human economy transformed, itself for one purpose: making the Vilethir Confederacy pay for what they had done. The new ships incorporated everything Captain Kim's crew had died to discover. Their hulls were made from improved metals that could absorb energy weapons. Their shields used principles learned from the ancient alien technology. Their weapons were designed to exploit the weaknesses the humans had identified in Vilethir, ship designs. But the most important advancement was in tactics. Human military planners studied every second of the Taeguk's Dream's final battle. They learned how to use asteroid fields as cover, how to turn scientific equipment into weapons, how to fight a larger enemy by refusing to fight fair. Admiral Soo-jin Kang stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Eternal Memory, named in honor of the fallen crew. Around her, 40 human warships prepared for their first jump into enemy territory. It was a small fleet compared to the hundreds of ships. The Vilethir could deploy, but every vessel was crewed by volunteers who had one simple mission. "All ships, this is Admiral Kang," she broadcast to her fleet. "We're not going to conquer the Vilethir Empire. We're not going to occupy their worlds or steal their resources. We're going to teach them a lesson that the galaxy will never forget, the Ao." Fleet engaged their faster-than-light drives and disappeared into the darkness between stars, carrying with them the accumulated rage of an entire species. Behind them, Earth's shipyards continued working, building more ships, training more crews, preparing for a war that would reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. In Vilethir space, Fleet Admiral Dex Thalen received reports of human ship movements with growing unease. Intelligence suggested the humans were building a fleet, but surely they wouldn't be foolish enough to attack the Confederacy directly. The Vilethir could field thousands of ships if necessary. But late at night, alone in his quarters, Dex Thalen found himself watching the recordings of the Taeguk's Dream's final battle. He watched 12 humans face impossible odds with calm determination. He watched them turn a research vessel into a weapon that destroyed 23 of his best ships. And he began to wonder if the Vilethir Confederacy had made the worst mistake in its 3,000-year history. The human fleet arrived at the edge of Vilethir space like a storm breaking over calm waters. 40 ships against an empire that commanded thousands, but these were not the same humans who had sent a research vessel into the unknown. These were warriors forged by anger and armed with hard-won knowledge. Admiral Soo-jin Kang stood on the bridge of the Eternal Memory, watching her tactical display as the Vilethir response fleet assembled to meet them. 400 alien warships formed, battle lines in the space between two star systems, led by the same dreadnought that had destroyed the Taeguk's Dream. "Impressive," she said quietly to her tactical officer. "They're taking us seriously." Fleet Admiral Dex Thalen commanded the Vilethir forces from his flagship, the same vessel that had led the sacred cleansing fleet months earlier. He had watched the human ships approach with growing unease. Their formation was unlike anything in Vilethir military doctrine. The ships moved in small groups that seemed to operate independently, yet somehow worked together like parts of a single organism. "Open communications," he ordered. "Let me speak to their commander." Admiral Kang's image appeared on his screen. She was younger than he had expected, with short black hair and eyes that held no warmth at all. When she spoke, her words were calm, but carried the weight of absolute certainty. "Fleet Admiral Dex Thalen, I am Admiral Soo-jin Kang of the Earth Defense Force. You murdered 12 of my people. You destroyed a peaceful research vessel. You did this to send a message to the galaxy that humans are weak and can be killed without consequence. Dex Thalan straightened in his command chair. Your people violated sacred space. They stole the secrets of the First Ones. The penalty for such crimes is death. Then you should have killed them quickly and been done with it, Sujin replied. Instead, you assembled the largest fleet in recent history to destroy one small ship. You broadcast the battle across the galaxy as a demonstration of your power. You turned 12 scientists into martyrs and showed every species in known space exactly how you fight. What do you want, human? Sujin's expression didn't change. Justice. Every species that contributed ships to your sacred cleansing fleet will formally acknowledge humanity's right to explore free space. They will provide compensation for the murder of the Taeguk's Dreams crew, and you will never again threaten human vessels conducting peaceful research. Dex Thalan's 6 arms moved in a gesture of contempt. You have 40 ships. I have 400. Your demands are meaningless. Numbers didn't save you before, Sujin said quietly. Let me show you what we learned from Captain Kim's sacrifice. The transmission ended, and both fleets began their final approach. The battle that followed became known as the Lesson of Blood throughout the galaxy. The human ships moved like nothing the Velthier had ever encountered. They fought in small squadrons that split apart and reformed like schools of fish avoiding predators. When the aliens tried to concentrate their fire on one target, the humans would scatter. When the Velthier spread out to cover more space, the humans would mass their forces and punch through weak points. Captain Jae-Sung Lee commanded one of the human squadrons from his ship, Righteous Fury. At 62 years old, he was the oldest captain in the fleet, but his experience showed in every maneuver. He led his 5 ships through the Velthier formation like a blade cutting silk, striking at command vessels and communication relays. Remember, he broadcast to his squadron, we're not here to fight fair. We're here to win. His ships used every trick the Taeguk's Dream had pioneered and dozens more that human military planners had developed. They fired missiles that split into smaller warheads at the last second. They used gravity bombs that collapsed entire formations. They deployed nanite swarms that disabled alien ship systems from the inside. But the most devastating weapon was their coordination. Every human ship was linked to every other through quantum communication systems that operated faster than light. They shared sensor data, tactical information, and targeting solutions in real time. When one ship identified a weakness in an alien vessel, every human ship in range knew about it instantly. The Velthier fleet, despite its numbers, began to crumble. Their rigid command structure couldn't adapt fast enough to the humans' fluid tactics. Their ships were designed to fight other fleets in traditional battle lines, not to deal with enemies that appeared and disappeared like ghosts. Admiral Kang watched the battle unfold from her command center, her face expressionless as alien ships died by the dozens. Her fleet was taking losses too, but far fewer than their enemies. The modifications based on ancient alien technology were working perfectly. Admiral, her tactical officer reported, the Velthier flagship is trying to retreat. No, Sujin said firmly. They wanted to send a message to the galaxy. Now we send ours. The Eternal Memory and 5 escort ships broke formation and pursued Dex Thalan's dreadnought. The massive alien vessel was nearly 3 times the size of any human ship, bristling with weapons and protected by shields that could stop planet-killing weapons. But the humans had learned the secret of fighting larger enemies. They didn't try to match the alien ship's firepower. Instead, they attacked its weaknesses. Precision strikes disabled its sensor arrays. Gravity bombs disrupted its power systems. Nanite swarms crawled through its hull, shutting down critical systems one by one. Fleet Admiral Dex Thalan watched in horror as his mighty flagship was systematically disabled by a handful of smaller vessels. His bridge crew ran from station to station, trying to repair systems faster than the humans could destroy them. It was hopeless. Surrender, Admiral Kang's voice came through the communication system. Your ship is dead. Your fleet is broken. Surrender now, and I'll allow your surviving vessels to withdraw. Dex Thalan looked around his ruined bridge. Half his fleet was gone. The other half was in full retreat. The humans had done exactly what they promised. They had taught the galaxy a lesson. I surrender, he said quietly. The battle was over in 4 hours. The human fleet had destroyed over 200 Vilthier ships while losing only 8 of their own. More importantly, they had broadcast the entire engagement on open frequencies, ensuring that every species in the galaxy could watch. Admiral Kang's final transmission reached every corner of known space. She stood on the bridge of her flagship, surrounded by the wreckage of the Vilthier fleet, and delivered the message that would echo through galactic history. This is Admiral Sujin Kang of the Earth Defense Force. Today we have demonstrated the price of underestimating humanity. The Vilthier Confederacy assembled the largest fleet in recent memory to destroy 12 scientists. In response, we have shattered their military power with 40 ships. She paused, looking directly into the camera. Let this be a lesson to every species watching. Humans are not conquerors. We are explorers and scientists who want only to learn and grow, but we will not tolerate the murder of our people. We will not accept threats to our ships, and we will never, ever kneel to anyone. The transmission ended, but its impact lasted for generations. Within weeks, every member species of the Vilthier Confederacy had agreed to humanity's demands. Formal treaties were signed acknowledging human rights to explore free space. Compensation was paid for the Taeguk's Dreams crew. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted forever. At the site where the Taeguk's Dream had made its final stand, a memorial was established. A simple monument floating in space, bearing the names of 12 humans who had changed the course of galactic history. Captain Han Sol Kim, Navigator Bo-Ra Lee, Engineer Taemin Park, Communications Officer Hai-Jin Choi, and 8 others who had faced impossible odds and refused to surrender. The memorial's inscription was simple. They were scientists and explorers. They died as heroes. The galaxy will remember. And remember it did. From that day forward, when alien fleets encountered human ships in the depths of space, they remembered the lesson of the Taeguk's Dream. They remembered that humans were not just another species to be dominated or ignored. They were something new in the galaxy. Explorers with the souls of warriors, scientists who would fight to the death for the right to learn. The price of underestimating humanity had been paid, in full, and the galaxy would never make that mistake again.